It has been a really unusual week in the markets. I mean, it's like we're navigating through a thick fog. On one side, we have this massive data blackout, and on the other, a totally unexpected crypto rally. So, let's try and make some sense of it all.
And I'm not exaggerating here. This is the reality for investors and traders right now. They're trying to make huge decisions without their most important map, the core labor data. So why? What's going on? What happened to take away the market's vision like this?
Well, the answer is pretty straightforward. A U.S. government shutdown. And the immediate result of that? A huge data vacuum, right where we need information the most.
You see, normally, the market has its North Star. That's the official monthly jobs report. It's pretty much the most critical piece of data for understanding the U.S. economy's health. But right now, that report is being withheld. It's just gone, leaving this massive gap in what everybody knows.
So what happens when your North Star just vanishes? Well, investors have to start, reading the tea leaves. They're looking for any little signal they can find in the fog.
This has kicked off a real scramble for what we call alternative data. People are digging into less common indicators like regional Fed data and private surveys. Stuff that's normally in the background is now front and center, and believe me, every single release carries so much more weight.
And speaking of clues, the market just got its first big one from the private sector.
And whoa, was it a shocker. The ADP report, which is our first real look, showed a loss of 32,000 private sector jobs in September. And let me be clear here, that's not just growth slowing down. That is an actual decline in jobs. Now, just to put that number into perspective for you, the market was expecting a gain of around 150,000 jobs. Instead, we got a loss of 32,000. That's not just a miss. That is a massive, massive swing from what everyone thought was going to happen. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, this one piece of data suggests the U.S. labor market might be cooling off way faster than anyone realized. And that has huge implications for what the Fed might do next with interest rates.
And that idea that the Fed might have to pivot away from rate hikes because the economy is weakening is exactly where our two stories collide. Because while traditional markets are wrestling with all this uncertainty, that very same signal seems to be fueling a completely different story over in the world of crypto, a sudden, really powerful rally.
Get this, Bitcoin surged about 14% in just 1 week. So while stocks and bonds were kind of stumbling around trying to find their footing, Bitcoin was just taking off. It's a classic risk-on move, right? A bet that maybe, just maybe, easier money is on the horizon.
And this wasn't just a Bitcoin thing. The rally lifted the entire crypto market, pushing the total market cap past a staggering $4.21 trillion. That's a huge move.
Of course, the analysts are being cautiously optimistic. As FX Empire points out, yeah, it's a strong rebound, but they're waiting for a bit more confirmation before they declare a full-on bull run. So, the rally is absolutely real, but so is the need to be careful.
Okay, so we've got these conflicting signals. A shaky economy on one hand, a roaring crypto market on the other. How do we make sense of what's coming? Here's a quick guide to what you should be watching in the week ahead.
For the U.S. markets, it's all about volatility. Any little piece of labor data is going to cause waves, and what central bankers say will be absolutely key. Globally, keep an ear out for any stimulus talk coming out of China. And in crypto, the big test for Bitcoin is going to be those key resistance levels, like the one around $125,000. And it is so important to remember just how fragile this whole situation is. Equity valuations are high, so there's not much room for error. The bond and currency markets are going to be hanging on every single word from policymakers. And that awesome crypto momentum, a surprise rate hike could reverse it in a heartbeat. Oh, and for altcoins, you've got to watch out for token unlocks. That's when a whole bunch of locked-up tokens suddenly hit the market, which can push prices down. So, we end up right back where we started, in the fog. And it leaves us with this really critical question. For this exact moment, when the official, trusted data just goes dark, where's the market and where do we find the truth? That's what everyone is trying to figure out right now.